The Palestinian Islamic resistance movement Hamas has officially confirmed the death of its leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in combat fighting Israeli forces in Gaza. In Panama, popular organizations participated in a march to the presidency of the Republic in rejection of the privatization of the state social security fund. And the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, delivered a speech before international BRICS media and affirmed that the United States cannot stop the rise of China's development. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Palestinian Islamic resistance movement Hamas has officially confirmed the death of its leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in combat fighting Israeli forces in Gaza. On Thursday, Israeli authorities announced that the leader had been killed in a battle that ensued when soldiers were searching an area in southern Gaza. Drone footage released by the military showed Sinwar badly wounded inside an bombed building, still managing to fight off the Zionist regime attack. In this context, on Friday, the Hamas senior leader Khalid al-Hajja confirmed the death, stressing that Sinwar battled and confronted weapons in hand, the Israeli army being at the forefront of the ranks until the last moments of his life. Al-Hajja also stated that Hamas conditions for truce negotiations will not change after the martyrdom of its leader.
We mourn the great leader, the martyred brother, Yahya Sinwar, Abu Ibrahim, Hamas political bureau chief and commander of the Al-Aqsa flood battle. The martyrdom of the brother leader Yahya Sinwar, and all the leaders and symbols of the movement, who preceded him on the path of dignity and martyrdom, and the project of liberation and return, will only build our movement and resistance in strength and determination, to continue on their path and honor their blood and sacrifices.
In Jordan, Palestinian refugees protested in downtown Amman after Friday noon prayers in honor of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, killed in Gaza by the military forces of Israel. Protesters called upon Jordan's government to support the Palestinian resistance and to annul the peace treaty with Israel.
If a leader is martyred, 100 leaders will take his place. If a resistant fighter is martyred, 1,000 resistant fighters will take his place. In this region, we are defending our existence, defending our land, defending our freedom and dignity. We have no path but resistance. We have no path but victory or death. We will stay here. We will win or die.
The resistance will continue until the occupation leaves all of Palestine, from the river to the sea. The Jordanian people affirm in the streets of Amman their support for the resistance and the martyrs. We ask God Almighty to join us with them. We also commend the operation that took place today, at dawn today, in the south of the Dead Sea on the Jordanian side, to affirm that the flame of resistance continues, no matter how many martyrs the occupation targets.
In Israel, genocidal forces announced on Thursday that the Lebanese Islamic resistance movement shot to death 5 Israeli military belonging to the elite Golani group. According to local media briefings, the Golani members entered a construction they had identified as safe, with Hezbollah fighters then opening fire on them from a very close distance. The attack by the resistance organization is a forceful response to the Zionist regime's repeated shellings of the Lebanese people. Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back. In Peru, students from the National University of San Marcos were brutally attacked by hooded aggressors amid a protest in defense of their higher education center's autonomy. In this context, several demonstrators were injured due to the violent repression, with student leaders denouncing that they have been prevented from assisting the wounded. Moreover, students confirmed that some of the university's internal security personnel had been carrying stones and spray paints from early on, allegedly with the intention of generating violence to force police officers to meddle in. As a result, the police body ended up protecting the aggressors and not the victims.
They broke into the internal part of the National University of San Marcos, just as those who have been allegedly hired by Foreign Affairs Minister Ramon Rupner. They have stormed precisely to delegitimize and intimidate us, to beat us with sticks, with stones and machetes. The students who have been in the university defending a fair process, a process that comes from a modification of Article 188 of the statute that seeks to delegitimize, that seeks to take away from us the educational, harms our autonomy, an autonomy that we have always kept. As a result, they have tried to conduct elections for students and deans, which are not transparent at all. Thus, we have denounced so on several times.
In Colombia, the Congress reopened the debate on the labor reform as the opposition party succeeded in eliminating articles considered key, especially for the farmers. Let's see details with our correspondent Hernán Tovar.
The opposition sectors in the Colombian Congress, represented by the right-wing parties Democratic Center and Radical Change, plus some members of the Green and traditional parties, were happy and celebrated the majority vote they obtained to eliminate key articles of the labor reform that guarantees decent conditions for farmers. Some congressmen expressed their rejection of this attitude and the setback for Colombian farmers and their labor rights.
It was a totally petty decision. There was a difference of 7 votes. By 7 votes we lost so that the farmers could have the guarantee of an agricultural contract for a decent agricultural day's wage and the right to rural housing. We have lost the struggle that we have been fighting for a long time.
This is the feudal thinking of those who want to keep rural workers in subhuman conditions in order to protect the interests of large landowners and large industrialists who have taken advantage of the land and agricultural labor in our country.
The articles eliminated were related to the guarantee of social benefits and an employment contract backed by a legal minimum wage, in addition to having decent conditions for their daily performance. The peasant organizations have already assured that they will resort to international bodies to ensure and respect these rights that the opposition sectors and large associated unions want to disregard.
We are going to denounce this to the International Labor Organization because it is really an alarming situation in the Colombian case. The levels of poverty in the countryside and this denial of these 3 fundamental rights of the 3 Articles 31, 32, 33 will further aggravate the life situations of rural workers.
In the street, the opinion of citizens does not differ with respect to the rejection generated by the actions of the opposition in the Congress, considering that the most vulnerable populations of the country are being turned away.
Young people are leaving the countryside because there are no guarantees, and now that a guarantee was sought with this reform, there was none. So there will be migration of young people to the cities, and we will have more criminality. We must base the right to work, which is an inalienable right at international level.
Despite this context, the reform finally managed to advance in the second debate in the House of Representatives, although 2 more debates are still pending in the Senate. For their part, the congressmen who are the rapporteurs hope that these points can be taken up again in the discussion and keep them alive for the remainder of the Colombian legislature.
In In Ecuador, a Turkish ship brings hydroelectric power to the country in the midst of the ongoing electricity crisis. In this regard, the Turkish-owned ship Emre Bey has docked at a port in Guayaquil as the South American country continues to suffer blackouts amid a severe drought that has affected its hydroelectric power plants. The 110-megawatt plant was commissioned by the government of President Daniel Noboa to relieve the population affected by the outages. According to the Turkish company Carpo Power Ship, the plant will supply energy to 500,000 Ecuadorian families.
Well, this ship provides energy for about 500,000 Ecuadorian families. The function of this 110-megawatt plant is to take fuel oil, a type of fuel, and convert it into electrical energy through 6 internal combustion engines, each generating 17.5 megawatts.
In Panama, popular organizations participated in a march to the presidency of the Republic in rejection of the privatization of the state Social Security Fund. During the mobilization, the organizations and the National Confederation of Independent Union, CONUSI, presented their demands that included the return to the solidarity system for the payment of pensions. The protesters also rejected the government's libertarian plan, which seeks to increase the retirement age and the number of curas to favor the retirement and the administration of pension funds.
We refuse to accept that we, the people, we, the workers, have to pay more so that the Social Security Fund can continue to function. But where are the entrepreneurs? We have not heard from them. They talk about negotiations, but it's a negotiation between them, where they don't even take into account what the workers want.
On Thursday, Prime Minister Manuel Marrero offered statements regarding the energy crisis the Caribbean country is facing. This way, the minister explained the causes of the records of the deficit in the energy supply, mainly due to the lack of fuel and the obsolete technologies of the country's thermoelectric power plants. The high official assured the government is searching for solutions on a daily basis to reduce the harmful effects of the outages and stressed that energy employees are working tirelessly with several actions being taken, including the purchase of new technologies and raw materials for the restoration of the damaged power plants. Furthermore, Marrero urged Cubans to save energy and remain united through these difficult times.
We have analyzed everything that is going to be done in order to improve living conditions, activities, and offers to the population for the end of the year. So we are developing this whole process. We are making strong exchanges. It is not a control, but it is a search for solutions in the field, and this closes the circuit of all previous processes, as is the case that our first Secretary of State has been developing extraordinary plenary sessions of the provincial committees of the party where they have analyzed all these problems, but from the political point of view.
The Ministry of Energy and Mines of Cuba shared that they are working hard to reestablish the electric service currently affected in the country. Through social networks, the agency stated that after the unplanned shutdown of the thermoelectric power plant Antonio Guterres at 11 a.m. this morning, the national electric power system was totally disconnected. The electric union is working on its reestablishment. On Friday, the high-level Venezuelan delegation headed by the Minister of Information and Communications, Freddy Ñañez, visited in China the headquarters of the state agency Sinwar. During the visit, the Venezuelan minister recalled the strong relations between his country and China, raised last year during the state visit of President Nicolás Maduro to the Asian giant, and addressed the challenges of the global south in the area of communications.
China is well aware that its development, its capacity to drive and lead processes in this new world is under siege and is completely attacked by the Western powers, and in that sense it is a target of psychological operations, of propaganda operations, of political and diplomatic operations against the sovereignty of its country and against its model. The same is true of Venezuela. Venezuela is a conscious and active country in the symbolic defense of the revolution, in the symbolic defense of the homeland, and of course in the effective and real defense of the homeland. Therefore, we both give a nationally strategic importance to communications and telecommunications.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. The president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, affirmed that the United States cannot stop the rise of China's development. During a meeting with representatives of the BRICS media, the Russian president said that Washington's attempts to curb China's growth are 15 years too late, and therefore there will be no achievement in their goals. Putin also pointed out that the actions of the United States against Beijing only slow down and stop their own economy. At the same time, the Russian head of state addressed the issue of de-dollarization, stressing that by spoiling the relations with Russia, the United States affected the dollar status.
Они связаны с миллионом факторов.
What distinguishes the BRICS from so many other international organizations? The BRICS were never built against anyone. The Prime Minister of India said it very well. He said that the BRICS is not an anti-Western organization. It is simply not Western. That's very important. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, the BRICS is not opposed to anybody. It is an association of states working together on the basis of common values, a common vision of development, and most importantly, the principle of taking each other's interests into account. This is the basis on which we will work in Kazan.
Observing the situation in the Middle East, the Russian head of state pointed out that the main way to resolve the Palestinian conflict is the creation of a full-fledged state.
Our traditional position, which dates back to the time of the Soviet Union, is that the main way to solve the Palestinian problem is the creation of a fully fledged Palestinian state.
In Belgium, at NATO headquarters in Brussels, the organization's defense ministers have been holding debates for 2 days from October 17th to 18th. There, a new NATO initiative is likely to be passed at the meeting to lower procurement's cost by streamlining processes through standardization. Official sources confirm that Ukraine will be a NATO member in the near future. Therefore, special attention has been drawn to Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov, as supplying weapons and any kind of support to Ukraine in the war on Russia has been the main discussed affair. NATO Secretary General addresses the issue.
Supporting Ukraine is not an act of charity. It is also an investment in our own security, because the cost of letting Putin have his way would be much higher than the cost of supporting Ukraine. Ukraine's fight is our fight.
We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For TeleSUR English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.